My name is Karen Mann. I'm an education convener for GMB in East Sussex, and in a previous life I was a nursery nurse and a teaching assistant. I've really enjoyed today. I've enjoyed listening to all the speakers and the workshops. I particularly liked Ken's speech, really rousing. When I come to an event like this, I always go away feeling really enthused and refueled to go away and keep that fight going. But what I was, I think, slightly dismayed at this morning was just that when trade unions and school staff are referred to, what was coming out predominantly, I just kept hearing teachers and teacher unions. There were lots of support staff delegates here, as well as teaching support, delegates. And what I would like to hear is, we're all involved in the same fight, and we're all involved in a good fight, and just more collective language. It's as simple as using the terms education, unions, and educating staff.
Hi, my name's Ken Muller. I'm a teacher in Islington. I was going to tell you, if I'd have been speaking to you yesterday, I could have given you a story of unqualified victory. Unfortunately, it's going to be a qualified victory, but I'm going to start off by telling you about the unqualified victory to start with. When I was at NUT conference at Easter with Alistair and I heard about a proposal that three primary schools in Islington were planning to become academies. And they were schools where, as far as I knew, the NUT and other unions didn't have strong organisation. We certainly didn't have reps. We had three gung-ho head teachers who were members of a mysterious group called the Mama-Lahar Group. And the Mama-Lahar Group was basically, we found out, planning to privatise a series of schools, set up a chain in league with an outfit called Strictly Education. And we had about a month of so-called consultation before the governors were going to reach a final decision. And to start with, we were a bit paralysed, probably because we were in the bar drinking. But then we decided that as soon as we got back, we were just going to go down to the school. And I completely agree with people. Gail was saying, you've got to get started. Well, I think you have got to get started. And Alistair and I got started by going down to one of the schools with some Anti-Academies Alliance brochures, giving them out to parents and getting into an argument with a head teacher. And that was the beginning of a campaign, which on Thursday at one of the three schools ended up with the governors voting to throw out the proposal to become an academy. So we are really pleased, and I would like a very important person in that decision was a governor at the school called Ben Fellows, who's actually here today, and he only started as a governor in September last year, and he played a magnificent role in actually convincing the governors that they should throw out the academy proposals. Can you give Ben a clap as well, please? Now, in 4 weeks, we managed to rock Islington with a campaign. We've had 2 front pages, one of which exposed the role of Strictly Education, who are not only HR providers for the 3 schools at the moment, and not only do they stand to provide services to the school and make a nice profit out of them if they do become academies, but they are actually running the consultation for the school, and they're even writing up the consultation for the school. And there's clearly a conflict of interest in here, and that was one of the things that the papers picked up on. Just to finish, the high point of our campaign for me was a meeting we had with parents at New North, at one of the schools, New North School. We didn't know how many people were going to come. A few of us sitting at the table. I was speaking alongside the leader of Islington Council, and I must say all the unions, the teaching unions, the support staff unions, and the Labour Council worked very effectively together to fight this. But a whole group of parents came in, and they didn't know much about academies. They didn't really know what they were about. And I thought, how am I going to talk to them about this? And I started talking to them about the National Health Service. And they were nodding. Everything I said about the National Health Service and what the threat to it was and what it would mean and how we didn't want it was privatised, they agreed. They agreed with that. And then I drew the parallel with this, and as soon as they heard that, they said, well, we don't want this happening to our schools, and they immediately decided to organise a petition and to go and tell the governors of the school that they didn't want a petition. Now, just to finish then, I think, we won at Paul's Park School. Last night we heard, unfortunately, that the New North School, the governors voted the academy proposal through, but it's not over yet because we intend to challenge it in court because the consultation was so important. But we're not going to go away, Mr. Gove. We're going to keep fighting you. And just as our parents and our grandparents had to failed to get medical treatment before the Second World War because they couldn't afford to pay for medical insurance, we're not going to go back to that, and we're not going to go back to a time when a small minority of well-off parents could get their kids into a decent school, and the rest of our parents and grandparents ended up getting a training in a secondary modern school and ended up in manual jobs. We're not going back to that. We are going to fight for our welfare state, and particularly we're going to be out on strike on the 30th with civil servants with civil servants and university lecturers, and I hope after the summer holidays with Unite and Unison and the other bigger unions, we're out on massive strike action and we'll actually knock this government back and knock the smile off Michael Gove's smarmy face.
I'm Sarah Dodds. I'm running a campaign in Lincolnshire, Louth and Mablethorpe to stop the 5 local secondary schools merging as one big academy. I'd like to first of all start off with it's a bit like the Oscars. I feel like I need to thank people. I want to thank the Anti-Academies Alliance, thank Alistair for his absolutely sterling and brilliant support, but also like to thank the Local Schools Network because that has informed and inspired so much of our campaign, and we're genuinely very grateful for that. So thank you for that. What I found from generating the campaign from nothing in Louth is that you have to be very clear what it is you're fighting for. I have 4 children aged from 11 to 2. For my 11-year-old, I'm actually not hugely worried because she will be going through an education system that still has the majority of teachers with a public sector ethos within them, and that will carry on for the next number of years. And I think she will be protected from the worst that academies will bring. However, I have a 2-year-old. My 2-year-old boy, when he starts secondary school, potentially will be going into a system that has been privatised for a decade. And that just horrifies me. And that is what we've got to bear in mind, that we're not just fighting for today's children in the education system. We're fighting for those who are to come and for the future of our entire education system forever. And that the fight is as important as that. What I want to share with you really quickly is just the results of a survey that we've started in Louth. I was kind of unsure as to what the consultation process would look like when we get to that point from the school, so that we'd kind of start the ball rolling and have one of our own, really. And we have nearly 150 responses. So I think now we have a fairly good picture of how the survey is going to go, and I'd just like to share those with you. 90% of the people who are polled, and it's not just members of my group, by the way, it is much wider than that, are happy or very happy with the standard of education locally as it stands. 90%. Okay. 77% are against the schools being run by any form of private sector, whether it be a charity or a business. 87% of them think that the local authority is the best placed organisation to run the schools. And 90% of the people we've asked so far, 90% want to permanently protect staff pay and conditions. I'm really pleased to say as well that we have a local authority now that has joined the debate. They are genuinely providing a viable local authority option for these schools that is now seriously on the table as an option. And so do take heart. Don't think that this is a fait accompli. It is not a done deal, and there is everything to play for because we have absolutely the communities and the public on our side. Thanks very much.
Jean Roberts. I'm an ATL executive member, but I'm also the NUT Joint Secretary in Brent. Just to very quickly report back on the 2 workshops I went to, which were the particular interest I had was about free schools. And in fact, even though the first one was about community working, the community bit really came in when Tracy spoke about how the community managed to stop a local health centre being taken over by a free school. And I would hope the tactics and strategies that were discussed there actually would be able to be put onto the Anti-Academy's website and so on, with links to those websites that we heard about, because it was really interesting. Because we've just found out in Brent that actually we've got one that is being proposed. I think it's pronounced Ma'at, and it's a school basically that is being set up. As you know, we struggled very hard to stop an academy being built in the north of the borough in Brent. One of the reasons was because we said we needed a school in the south of the borough. Well, of course, what's happened now is parents in the south of the borough are saying we don't actually have a proper enough secondary school places, so we want to set up a secondary school free school. And we can understand that. But Janet, who was actually here earlier, I don't know if she's still here, I'd like to ask questions, because why haven't we heard about it? Why haven't we been involved in the consultation? I'm talking about as a member of the Brent community who's lived there for over 30 years. I haven't seen any adverts in the local press. The unions haven't been asked along. The local authorities say they're actually not involved. So is this going to be something exclusive school? What I'm concerned about is it's going to be a little exclusive black school and not open and not a proper community school, let alone being a free school. And sorry, but very urgent bit of information I've just heard is that Holland Park School, parents have just heard on Thursday that they're going to have a consultation meeting on Monday with the proposal that their school goes down the academy route on Thursday, at the proposal at the governor's meeting. Absolutely appalling. That's real democracy, isn't it? So anyone who's available at 6:30 to leaflet parents outside Holland Park, please come along.
Thank you, Mark.
I had a quick course yesterday, and at that course were members of staff from an academy. So I thought I'd take this opportunity, knowing I was coming here today, just to ask a few questions. My first question was, how are you finding it? Straight away, a member of staff said, it's great, it's fine. Not liking that answer, I thought I'd ask a bit more. I said, how has things been affected? She said, our budget's gone up 4 times. Brilliant, we've got loads of money. I mean, they're actually at this course buying £30,000 worth of equipment. So that's great. Then I started to ask about their working conditions. That's when they said they now have to work till 5:30, but everything's fine, everything's great. She then told me they've lost 4 weeks of their holiday, but everything's fine, everything's great. I then asked her about how they're going to maintain these machines and this equipment and how they're going to fund their department in the future. They couldn't answer me, they have no idea. But everything's fine, everything's great.
Amelia Mansfield, Chair of Case Campaign for State Education and member of the steering group of the Anti-Academies Alliance. There have been some amazing campaigns going on all over the country and a lot of publicity given. But we here are fighting the privatisation of state education. There has been massive publicity about the NHS and the privatisation of the NHS. But where's the national discussion about the privatisation of the education system? We have to fight that because it's been going on for 10 to 15 years, starting with privatising local authorities, privatising all aspects, outsourcing all the services to schools. So every single person in this room and the organisation they represent have to work together to raise the issues in the public arena, not only in the local press but the national press. Unless we do it all together, and every single one of us and every single member of our organisation and every single friend that we have, the NHS has taken over the whole privatisation, but state education is being dismantled by free schools and academies, and we really have to fight it. And where is the publicity? It isn't anywhere. It's not on the radio, it's not on television, and it isn't in the national press. So we have to get it there. It's up to us.
Like a game show, isn't it? Right. For the last 5, Sally Kincaid, Wakefield NUT. For the last 5 years, Hank and I have been playing a game. I know a head teacher that earns more than your head teacher. Well, Hank, I win. Michael Wilkins, Outward Grange Family Schools Academy, £1 million he earned. The council have just done an audit before it became an academy, and he owes them £91,000 I'll get it eventually, lots of money. Of course, they can't get it back from him because it's an academy. The whole thing about deregulation of the banks is exactly what's going on in the schools at the moment. I don't often say this, but do get a Telegraph on your way home, because apparently it's hit the Telegraph today and the Mail. Enough.
Conference, my name's Dave Fellows. I'm a Unison convener for school support staff in East Sussex. I'll be very, very brief. A couple of years ago, less than a couple of years ago, when I started this role, I was on a case matter with a head teacher in Hastings, one of the schools that is currently converting to academy status. We haven't been successful in that campaign, but I remember she said to me over some other matter before the academy proposal, she's now a principal designate, I have to say, for the new academy, but she said to me, I'm a businesswoman and I have a business to run. That's quite a big clue as to what someone mentioned earlier on about CEOs and the role of heads and so forth, and I thought that was a bit of a giveaway, and it's turned out to be completely right what she said. And the reason I say it is that there's a need to fight on every issue. We've heard several people, rightly in my view, saying that we have to fight on every academy proposal, every free school proposal. What I'm saying to you is this, that you actually have to fight on, not wait until an academy proposal, not wait until a free school proposal, but fight on the things that are currently there to fight on. Traded services, a step away from privatisation, opening the door to privatisation. The whole question of pensions, we need to be fighting on that. So we want anti-academy people on the picket lines on the 30th, dishing out stuff to people and encouraging them not to cross those picket lines. People need. Thank you. Right, people need to feel that change is possible. That's a feedback from Workshop 6. And I think if we want education, we are going to have strike.
Okay. I'm Helen Hudson. I'm from West Yorkshire ADHD Support Group and a charity called Adept that works for people with hidden impairments. Now, I've already told this story in the workshop that we did, yes. But the thing is that from a special needs point of view, it's very, very worrying that the most vulnerable children in the education system are probably the ones that are going to be excluded from academies. And I've had a telephone call from a parent this week whose child decided that he didn't want to take his medication anymore because he wasn't hungry at dinner time, so he wasn't going to take it because he wanted to eat when he went to school, had to have his school lunch. And when he went into school, this is an academy, of course, when he went into the academy, they said it was their policy that if a child with ADHD wasn't medicated, then they were not allowed in school. And I just think that this sort of thing, we're going to hear more and more, and it is vital that we get that message across, that people, somebody said earlier, it's about the right of a child. And if those rights are taken away, then we lose everything as a society. So I think that's an important message we need to get across.
Sarah Tomlinson from Lambeth, and camera's gone. I was going to just show you, we have an anti-free school campaign in Lambeth which you can look us up on the website. Catherine Burble Singh is leading the campaign to build a free school near me, but I wanted to talk about something else. I wanted to talk about privatisation and how much power is being handed over to these academy and free school sponsors. And just two examples. This week, Amanda Spielman from ARC is being recommended by Gove to head Ofqual. She will be in charge of the body looking at qualifications. She will join Sally Morgan, director of ARC, who a couple of months ago became the chair of Ofsted. And it was also revealed, Polly Toynbee mentioned it in The Guardian yesterday, that Sally Morgan is also on the board of Southern Cross. So you have to say that the vulnerable children that the last speaker talked about, the vulnerable children who I'm sure will not be welcome in the free school that's wanting to set up in my borough, are going to be in the hands of these people who don't care about our vulnerable people and children in care homes or in schools or in the NHS, but they care about getting profits for their companies.